What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. As we are in the end of 2021, I haven't done this, I think, since 2018 or 2019. I'm not too sure, but I skipped a couple years just because a lot was going on, especially with last year. Didn't really get to see a whole lot, but this year, with HBO Max, unveiling that they'll have every of their movies on HBO Max simultaneous with the theater just to make sure they get their movies out. It was a really good year for movies to behold. Now, my top 10 may not be coincides with your top 10. A lot of movies I didn't watch, a lot of movies I should have watched, a lot of movies that I've watched but not completely finished, and I'll get to that in just a second. But nevertheless, they're still in my top 10. And it's a lot of movies that I truly, truly enjoyed about this year that I watched again, and just telling myself a lot of great cinema was taking place this year. So let's get into it. Number 10, Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League. 4 hours of greatness. I felt like because we had the Justice League in 2013, the Joss Whedon Justice League, it didn't do it any service. I was so disappointed in the Justice League, but we all know why. And the fact that we were doing, justice for Zack Snyder since then, almost 10 years, that we finally got our Zack Snyder Justice League, and it did not disappoint. It was broken off into segments, which everything that he had from the 2013, a couple of reshoots, and just told the full story. That's what we wanted. And I remember, I'm just so upset with Warner Brothers because Warner Brothers didn't keep him. This was a critical acclaimed movie. This was a box office smash. If it was really on box office, everyone enjoyed it. But I remember, Warner Brothers was telling me it's too long, it's too dark. And here, behold, you had Avengers Endgame for 3 hours, almost 3.5 hours. So I'm telling myself, he nailed it out the park. I don't understand. You could have built so much just off of the Zack Snyder's Justice League. And we got the Justice League we deserved. I enjoyed it. I watched it twice. And that was the only time I watched it because it's so long, but at the same time, it was so good. If I have to ever take a flight, if I ever had to do something for a very long time, I had to watch a movie, this is the movie to watch. That's why I love it so much. This is my go-to movie for this year. Number 9, Being the Ricardos. Nicole Kidman, Javier Bardem donned the biopic of Lucille Ball and Ricky Ricardo, aka Desi Arnaz, and just seeing how they were as far as on top of their A game of I Love Lucy. And when I tell you Nicole Kidman bodied Lucille Ball, she gave me a Lucille Ball that I've never seen. We all know I Love Lucy and Lucille Ball, but we don't know how she really was. And I feel like she's going to get that Oscar nom. She's going to get a Golden Globe. She's going to Screen Actors Guild. She really, really stole the show and stole the home of Being the Ricardos. I truly suggest everyone check this out because this is one of the performances that I have not seen, and it gave me that in-depth look and really made me love I Love Lucy a lot more. Just because all the things that she was going through at the time and the height of her fame, you just seen all the things that I was unraveling at the time as far as the media is blowing up about her communism and that she really wasn't a communist. And then just her and Desi's marriage, of how he was cheating and a lot of things. And also she was breaking the fourth wall of being pregnant on the show. And that was groundbreaking within itself. So she did a lot in her time. And I tell myself, I loved this movie. This movie was really, really good. You have to check it out on Amazon Prime right now. Number 8, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I loved Shang-Chi. I watched it on Disney Plus after it came out. I think this is something that I should have watched in the movies. It was good. It was entertaining. Something new, a fresh face to Marvel. And I can't wait to see how they're going to introduce Shang-Chi and what he's going to be doing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and just understanding his power and where his power comes from, even with the dragon, like where he's going to place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is definitely something to behold. I feel like he's going to be, Doctor Strange may be able to pull from their magic because they live in their own little bubble, but I love to see the inclusion in Marvel, and just takes place right across the city in the Bay. Like, it takes place in San Francisco. So I was telling myself it was really, really good to watch this, and I really enjoyed the action in it. Really. Number 7, Dune. Number 7, Dune. Dune was really good. I have about 10 minutes to finish on it, but I really was thoroughly not entertained, but it's just a marvel to watch. Like, the graphics, the story, like everything, it was an easy follow, but it was a slow burn, but I still just loved how it was made. Like, just everything about Dune was, okay, I'm tuned in. And you can tell I from what people were saying that this Star Wars pulled their inspiration from, you can tell. You know, like, this is a marvel to watch, and I know they're going to explore more of the story. And I love Timothée Chalamet, the actors in here. Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Josh Brolin, Oscar Isaac, oh boy, Skarsgård. Just everyone here. I tell myself, I'm like, they had a lot, and Jason Momoa, you know, and I just told myself they had a lot of star power in here that kept you entertained. Like, they kept you with their performances. They kept you watching, because if it was unknown actors, you probably wouldn't have watched it as much, or it wouldn't have been rated so high. So I really, really, really enjoyed Dune, and I can't wait for the sequel for this, because we definitely are going to get one. The story is not done, and I'm here for that. That's why this really made my list, because of the marvel, like the CGI, just watching it. It was like, damn, this is good. I loved it. It's just up there with Blade Runner and up there with the Star Wars. Like, this is really top tier sci-fi to be watching and to behold. Like, as a movie, I know you got the Westworlds with TV, but as a movie, Dune delivered. So, number 6. Ghostbusters Afterlife. Now, I'm not done. I watched a good 30 minutes, and I was like, it's up there. Just from, I really, really wish that we could have got Harold Ramis and Bill Murray. I will always say that, because they worked comedically together, and it worked. And I'm telling myself, I'm like, you know, you just seen the glimpses of it, but I'm not going to say I saw the end, but I saw a couple of glimpses of what's going to happen at the end. And this is near and dear to my heart, because I really grew up off of Ghostbusters. Like, you can ask anybody that was around me from my childhood. I watched Ghostbusters religiously, and because it was everything I loved about it. Like, it was comedy, it was spooky, it was dealing with ghosts, she was ghost busting. Everything, you know, the Bobby Brown and sequel, like, this Ghostbusters gave me everything. And to see everyone come back with Dr. Venkman, you know, Raymond Stantz, everybody, Winston Zedmore, everybody. And I was just sitting there telling myself, even with Janine, and I just was like, this is something to behold. I'm not done, but I'm definitely going to finish it sometime this week. But trust me, this is in my top 10 because it's near and dear to my heart. I don't care what anybody says. I know I'm going to finish it, because just like I said, this is something a part of my childhood, and I feel like Isaac Reitman really did justice, you know, following into his father's footsteps, just making sure that this was done right. I am here for it. Number 5, No Time to Die. From Billie Eilish giving the iconic Bond intro, up there synonymous with Adele in Skyfall, and Sam Smith with Spectre. Like, Billie Eilish is definitely, I feel like, as far as intros, she's top 5. She's top 5. Adele's going to get number 1. Tina Turner comes in a close number 2 with GoldenEye. And, I would say Billie Eilish number 3. And even with Goldfinger and Diamonds Are Forever, it starts with the intro, and then you really got a real good Bond film. Like, it was action. It was tying up all the loose ends for over the years, about a decade. I still remember when I went to see Casino Royale with my cousin. He fell asleep, but I was like, dude, it's James Bond. And I watched it. I still remember the flack of Daniel Craig. Oh, he's brown hair, blonde hair, blue eyes. Like, how could Bond be like that? Knocked it out the park since Casino Royale. And I kid you not, Casino Royale is hailed as a classic. Not just as Bond, but in cinema. And to see him finish up his Bond run, No Time to Die is definitely up there as far as the top 3 Bond films from Daniel Craig, which is Casino Royale, Skyfall, and then No Time to Die. It's going to be up there as far as top 10 as far as Bond films, and he went out the way he wanted to run out on his shield, just, being Bond. And I was thoroughly satisfied. I was hurt at the end, but I was satisfied with Daniel Craig's run because he was done playing Bond because he's getting older, and I totally get it. But I loved it. I really, really loved it. Rami Malek was formidable in a sense, but really, really a good scientist, if that makes sense. And I just told myself, I'm like, as a villain that was overarching everybody, I was like, okay, and he got the best of Bond. So that's why I tell myself, yeah, it's definitely in my top 5. Number 4, The Harder They Fall on Netflix. Regina King, Idris Elba, Lakeith Stanfield, Jonathan Majors, Zazie Beetz, Delroy Lindo, and a slew of others. I just told myself, like, the cast within itself was they're going to make magic. And this was like nonstop action. You couldn't, my eyes were glued. I didn't know this was like almost a 2.5 hour movie, but it didn't feel like it. The runtime did not feel like it on this. And I told myself, this reminds me of a new modern classic Western, because I'm definitely going to watch again later on in life. You kept a high octane performance from everybody. You didn't know what was going to happen. And I loved it because when we did a little bit more research into it, it was really based off real actual literary African-American cowboys back in that time. And I was like, oh, like, they definitely going to be in the Oscar noms for a lot of stuff. And I tell myself, well worth it. If you have not watched The Harder They Fall, you are missing out, because this is good cinema. Came out on Netflix, and I was like, Netflix don't deserve this. Even with the soundtrack with Jay-Z and Kid Cudi, I was like, bruh, this is a modern day classic, up there with Tombstone. It reminds me of Posse. Like, it's up there as far as Western classics. I am here for it. Number 3, King Richard. Will Smith as Richard Williams, the father to Venus and Serena Williams. The performances, like the performance by Will Smith carried this movie. You had Ajane Ellis in this as a support. Oh my gosh, she killed that. She killed that scene. I'm like, when everyone talks about Oscar nom, I feel like he's going to get Best Male Actor finally from this, because like I said, that one scene where everyone's showing, when Will Smith is crying, trying to break it down to Venus, like, man. But if people would give credit to Ajane Ellis, that scene before when it's just Richard Williams and the wife in the kitchen and Ajane Ellis is breaking him down. That right there in itself I was like, strong scenes from 2 very talented actors. And I really gave that a 10 out of 10. That still, to me, made me, with me having daughters, and I'm just like, it made me really tell myself, you have a lot of work to put in, and you really need to make sure that you secure their future. I feel like if you're a dad, watch this. If you have a family, watch this. If you want to have kids, watch this. Don't let anybody tell you how to raise your kids if you're trying to put them and push them to excel. That's just that. It don't have to be in tennis, but just have excel in life. And you've seen all the things that they had to go through growing up in Compton in the late 80s and 90s, how, drugs, gangs, all kind of stuff was really going on, how he had to really protect his family. And I love this movie. This movie was so heartfelt. It was so heartfelt. I loved it. Number 2, Judas and the Black Messiah. Daniel Coulier, Lakeith Stanfield, again having a major year, about the assassination of Fred Hampton, the leader of the Black Panther Party of the Chicago chapter, and just documenting his life, how charismatic he was. And Daniel Kaluuya, a lot of people was giving him flack because, these British black actors is taking spot, but nah, that man killed that role. I am a revolutionary. I was like, man, he killed that role. Like, the voice. Man, he just embodied Fred Hampton, came through the screen. And Lakeith Stanfield really just took what he could from the informant that he had to play. And you could tell that has a lot of mental challenges playing roles like that, because you can tell the conflicting nature was going through Lakeith Stanfield's eyes. You can tell. But that was 2 strong performances that I feel like is definitely going to be worth some cred when it comes out to award season. I am here for it, and I'm still telling myself that's also a classic, because entertaining from start to finish. You didn't know what the hell was going to happen until everything, like the stakes were just rising continuously rising. I loved that. It really had my anxiety on edge. So before I get to number 1, I'm going to drop off into some of the honorable mentions by no given order. I'm just reading them off just as I go. Honorable mention number 1 is Red Notice with The Rock, Gal Gadot, and Ryan Reynolds. Like, I watched half of it, and I just kept telling myself it was really a Carmen Sandiego actual movie, but it was just with actual people, you know what I'm saying? Live adaptation of that. I loved it because you just seen, not the performances, but I love the chemistry between all 3. And for some reason, I don't know why, I feel like Ryan Reynolds is going to jump back into DC, which, with The Rock playing Black Adam, Gal Gadot with Wonder Woman, Ryan Reynolds should probably reprise his roles as Green Lantern. And just see the chemistry with them 3 was well worth it. I say Red Notice / Army of the Dead with Zack Snyder, because right after Justice League, Zack Snyder put out Army of the Dead on Netflix. Entertaining as shit. Like, when I say start to finish, you didn't know what to expect. You just saw zombies, Zack Snyder. I was here for it and you just seen the madness behind Army of the Dead. I loved every bit of it. Number 4 coming in with honorable mention is Suicide Squad. Way better than the first Suicide Squad, with James Gunn helming this as the campy, crazy, silly, but also horrific and also just brutal. And I love the violence with King Shark, all of it. Like, I just loved how it all was. And I just felt like it was way better than the first Suicide Squad. Honorable mention number 3, Godzilla vs. Kong. The build-up behind this was intense. When we finally got it, I was kind of like, okay, something I feel like we should have watched in the movies. I think it would have had a better outcome than it did on TV, but nevertheless, I was entertained because they were duking it out. And then you got the Godzilla kaiju with them having to work together at the end. I was like, I'm thoroughly pleased. Honorable mention number 2, The Matrix Resurrections. Like, I was bored. I was happy they brought it back. I was seeing, the whole hype train behind it for at least a year. Like, oh my gosh, we're getting The Matrix 4. And it just threw me off. I knew something was off when Keanu Reeves had the John Wick beard. I was like, this isn't going to work. But you could tell he donned the iconic Neo bald head when he got on the Nebuchadnezzar type of thing. He donned that as well. But just everything about this, they threw nostalgic in it. The new plot, I wasn't really digging it. It felt messy. And even with Morpheus, I love Yahya Abdul-Mateen, but They should have just brought back Lawrence Fishburne as Morpheus. I really feel like if they're going to go forward with this, bring back Morpheus and stop playing. Like, don't do that to Morpheus as making him a sentient program. Don't do that. Don't do that. But nevertheless, it's still The Matrix 4, and we have a lot to unpack with The Matrix. The last honorable mention I will mention is The Little Things. Came out in January with Denzel Washington, Jared Leto, and I think Rami Malek was in it as well. And I loved it. I loved the suspense behind it because, the thing about it was the end. I was like, okay, that wouldn't happen in real life, but I love the suspense because you didn't know who was actually doing it. Plus, like I said, Denzel Washington gave a really good performance, and Jared Leto really was still in the show because this dude looks eccentric, looks crazy, he just looks morbid. You know it was him, so that's why I was telling myself. But at the end, you felt disappointed. And that's what made me really like, man, this could have been a good movie, only if I would have had satisfaction at the end. But nevertheless, still a good movie. That let me know cinema this year was definitely going to kick off. I feel like The Little Things was also the way Mortal Kombat was. Like, we had the hype train behind Mortal Kombat, but it didn't live up to what we were thinking. But I want to see more, if that makes sense. I want to see more of Mortal Kombat. Like, make it. I love the brutality in this. I loved how it was made, but I just needed more. I felt like it was rushed, probably because of COVID, but something to build on. That's what I'm here for. So that was my honorable mention, and of course, number one as far as the best movie of 2021 is what else? Spider-Man No Way Home. Still reeling off of Spider-Man, still telling myself this became $1 billion box office movie in a span of a week. Like, if you haven't watched this by now, I really encourage you. You need to really watch it. It tied in so much. I felt like all the feels that we needed. It was excitement from start to finish. Even rewatching it, I was still telling myself, this is such a good movie. They did everything right. And even with the Marvel movie since Endgame, this is the first Marvel movie that it's just, they're doing everything. They did everything right. Bringing back Andrew Garfield, how they had to Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, like how the Spider-Man jumped into the multiverse. They did everything right. It was fun. This was fun. When people say they were crying and all that stuff, I'm like, with all the, I'm like, no, I just got feels. I was just like, man, that you guys are just killing it. Everybody in this contributed. Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch, Zendaya, Ned, everybody. Like, it's my personal ode to Tom Holland. I remember they were saying that he was going to be done after this because they want Miles Morales. You're not done. You're not done. You're not done. You're still our Spider-Man. Don't worry. You're still our Avengers Spider-Man. And I loved how he even told Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, like, well, I got something you guys don't. I'm part of the Avengers. You guys never worked together before. So I love that second half of the movie. It just kicked everything up a notch. Shout out to William Dafoe because menace as Green Goblin. He could be jumping around to different multiverses and messing with different superheroes because that dude's a menace. And he played it so well. That's what kept everybody entertained as far as the Sinister Six. But just the second half of the movie really hit everything home for all of us. That was really a really, really good movie. And I wish they can definitely get some type of award season. Throw that in there somewhere. You have to. You have to. So, if you guys enjoyed my list as far as the top 10 best movies of 2021, if I've missed some or left some out, post a comment down below. Let me know. Was it good to you? Why I should watch it? I feel like I said, it's a couple of movies I still have to watch. I still want to watch American Underdog with the Kurt Warner story. I feel like that should be added in my top 10 because just by the trailer, the feels is there. I knew everything about Kurt Warner, and just coming in, watching him play when I was a kid, like, he was that underdog before Tom Brady got there. So that's why I was telling myself I definitely need to watch that movie. And I definitely need to finish up Ghostbusters. So, you guys enjoyed my review. Subscribe to my channel. Post a comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. And subscribe to my channel. It's your boy, D. Dyson. Peace.